there's no rules in this bitch, okay? So we're gonna talk about whatever you want, whatever we want, because we're gonna spin it and let y'all know what we're gonna talk about for 15 minutes. We're gonna give you rapid fire stuff. They're the coaches, I'm the everyday guy. I'm gonna challenge them because who the fuck are they to tell me what to do? They don't know me. They do know me. They've known me for a really long time, but that's not the point. The point is we're here to give you guys a fun podcast and hopefully you learn some shit along the way. And we're live. What's up, baby?
All right. Yo, what's good, man?
How you doing? Guys, this is another episode of Mindset U, episode 63, I believe.
Yes, we are on 63.
Yeah, 63. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Dedication pays off. Today's episode is about millennials, since we're millennials, and yeah. You can take it from there. Yeah.
Before we get into it, don't forget to give us a follow or subscribe to our podcast. Jay, can you tell them where they can find us?
You could find us on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. If you actually have an Android, which you probably should, they're awesome phones, but we give them shit. And then and on VidaProject.com, you can find all the episodes there and other fun stuff. And I'm trying to think, is there anywhere else that I'm missing, bud?
Nah, man. I think YouTube, and if you guys have some time, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Mindset U.
Yes.
Yeah, we put all the nice little clips. Yeah.
It's been it's mostly my mom. If you look at the comments, it's my mom going, "Oh my God, you guys are amazing. This is such a good topic."
Yeah.
And we appreciate it, but we like more of you guys.
Yeah, so definitely comment on there. But going to the topic today on millennials, Jay, kind of like I'm curious to know more so about your approach to education and work. I think we grew up with like a deep understanding of like we got to go to college, we got to do all these things. Yeah. I think a lot of that is changing. So
yeah, we had a lot of that old school. We were brought up old school, and I think also because we're minorities, and I think a lot of minority parents stress like you got to go to school, education, kind of thing. And looking back on it, I'm glad I went to college. I'm glad I got the college experience and stuff like that. But like, did I need it? I mean, I guess I did for my former career because it helped.
Do you think that it's paying off like right now? Do you think you're getting the return on that investment?
If you're going to medical school, sure. If you're going to culinary school, sure. If you're going to a school for like a specific trade, I guess I wouldn't call the medical field a trade, but if you're going for like a specific like skill and purpose, yeah. But like an English major, I don't know, man. I don't think so. I don't think degree means as much as it used to.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also think about it sometimes as, would we have been able to leverage the same opportunities if we didn't get those degrees? So then, like, if that's the case, if we didn't get those degrees, what's the determining factor that makes us successful now?
I think it's willing to show up. I think half of it now is like people just willing to show up and do a job.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic changed a lot of things, and I think it reset a lot of people's minds on like how to work and how they view work and stuff like that. And you see a lot of companies just like, I'll hire whoever. Just, are you going to show up tomorrow? Kind of thing. I know it, like with working in news in the past, school helped because, I learned how to write for TV, I guess. I learned like that kind of stuff, and I learned like the lingo and all that kind of thing. But like right now, when I work in logistics, my college degree has absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I make more money than I did working
with a degree.
Yeah. So I really don't have the answer, but in my own experience, I didn't need college aside from self-growth. Like I like college for the fact that it was like my first time like living on my own kind of thing, and like having that experience where it's like I don't have the comforts of home,
Mhm.
I try to come home as much as possible. But I was only 2.5 hours away, and I was surrounded
Yeah.
by a bunch of I was surrounded by a bunch of white people, and it was really startling for the beginning of it.
Mhm.
And it was nice to be back home with my fellow minorities.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I align with that thought process. I don't necessarily use my degree now. I think it does leverage opportunities. I
It
think,
gives you some sort of like
saying if you,
respect,
yeah,
like
it does
in the
open the
corporate
door.
world, I guess.
Yeah, it can open the door to some things, but I wouldn't say that it is the determinant factor in like developing the skills that I have. I do believe that millennials do carry some type of skills that more specifically I guess Gen Z doesn't have. This
Remind me
emotional,
again, Gen Z is which one? Is Gen Z
the
the
ones
younger
after
kids?
us. Yeah, they're
The
the
ones
younger
after us.
ones.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're like
so
in their 20s right now.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
they're like 2000 up to 2009 or 7,
9.
some shit
Okay, yeah.
like
So
that.
I agree with you in that aspect that I think what separates us from the Gen Zers is that we still have that like we played outside. Like you had that like little hardened skin. I feel like compared to
Yeah.
like because we grew up with that old school mentality where it was a lot different. Going to high school when we went to high school and going to high school now, two complete different things. It's nothing like how we went to high school. I just hung out
Mhm.
with my little cousin today, and like
Mhm.
hearing him tell stories about like ninth grade, I'm like, you guys did what?
Yeah, it's crazy
Like,
right now.
you know, and he's still like he likes to be outside, which is kind of nice. Like he's a little like he's into his video games and stuff like that, but like he really enjoys like going outside, like going on hikes and stuff like that. But I don't
Mhm.
know many other kids that are super into that.
Well, I mean, he lives in the city, right?
No, he lives in Richfield Park. Oh,
Oh, he lives in
Richfield. Yeah, he
Richfield.
lives in Richfield.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
It's Belkis's son, Nico.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So it's
think
like
you were gonna say sorry, man.
oh no. So I was just saying like so like I feel like you don't see much of that. Like you don't see at least in the suburbs. Like I get like like in rural places and stuff like that. Or even like with city kids, like you don't see them out and about too much. Like I don't see the basketball courts filled up all the time. Like how like when we were young and stuff like that.
No,
No.
it's not, but it's starting to pick up. I saw something interesting. So the kids that are the children of the millennials that are now growing up, they're like starting to move into middle school. They're actually Generation Alpha. Um, they're a different generation, the Gen Z.
That's also
Generation
like I wish we had Generation Alpha sounds
sounds
fucking
fucking cool,
legit.
right? Yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah,
legit that's a
yeah,
legit
yeah.
class to be a part of, by
I
the
mean,
way.
millennial sounds cool too, man. Like, uh,
Yeah, I
I gotta
guess.
say this. I gotta say this. Like, if you think about, and I'm gonna go back to my other point about alphas, but before I go into millennials, Generation Alpha are the kids of the millennials, and what you see now is that they are actually going outside. So if you
Okay.
notice a trend, there are a lot of kids on bicycles.
Yeah, I do see that. I do notice a lot more
Yeah,
kids.
and
I
it's like
literally when I was setting up in here, when I was closing the shades, there was a little gang of kids
little gang of kids
on
growing up in
bikes.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I haven't
Just
seen
like
that
we
in
used to do that.
forever. Yeah,
Yeah, because we used to do that.
yeah,
That's how we rolled.
yeah,
And then we had scooters, right? Then we had the motorized scooters, right?
yeah,
Stuff like that. And what I noticed is that those parents, those millennial parents, have kind of understood that there is this, hey, they're spending too much time on the screens, they're spending too much time behind, and there's a lot of these mental health issues. So I think they're forcing the kids to go outside, and they're doing it with these kind of old school things that for them, for the kid is old school, but for us is
yeah,
how we grew up.
yeah,
And the reason I think that is because millennials have a unique moment in time where we develop skills that boomers and Gen X don't necessarily have. And Gen Z doesn't have that either. So, like you said, we grew up outside, playing in the yard, playing in the streets, but at the same time, they were forcing technology down our throats.
yeah.
So, if you
That's true.
remember, first computers came into school when we started going to school, for cell
Yeah,
phones, first beepers, all of these
yeah,
things. So, we learned to use this technology while playing outside. So we got both worlds.
That's true. Yeah.
And what you see now in the workforce is millennials are mostly known for high emotional intelligence. So they make great managers, typically like middle management
Hmm.
or executive leaders, things like that. You see a lot of push on like social media about, caring about your employees and people. Those are all millennials, right? Either the later ends of Gen X or millennials. And that's because we played with both worlds, right? Like we played outside in the street. We learned to play sports. We learned what happened when somebody got beat up, right? Or somebody got bullied, how you
Yeah.
dealt with that. So like there wasn't this
Yeah.
like, don't bully him, but there was also this line of respect. Like you got to
Yeah.
earn your respect in
That's
the
true.
yard too. So there was this
That's
middle
true.
ground that we learned that I don't think Gen Z got the opportunity because Gen Z was fully immersed in technology. So therefore, they just stayed inside the house all day. So like my
Yeah.
little sister, Lucy, is a Gen Z, right? And she stayed in the house all day, right? So she grew up differently. Me and my sister Nina were closer in age. We were always out in the yard. We were always playing, and
Yeah.
we developed
That's
these
true.
skills that boomers and Gen X don't necessarily have, which is that people skill. And then with Gen Z, we're not as good as them with technology and like leveraging those
Yeah.
things, but we're not too far off either.
No.
And then you see
We're
it
the
in
ones who
sports.
created half of the shit that they use.
Yeah. And the thing is like you see it in sports now. Like if you look at sports, most of the athletes that are on their way out are millennials.
Yeah.
Like you look at the NBA, LeBron James,
Yeah.
Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, all of these guys that literally made the NBA like so amazing right now, this like peak point, those are all millennials.
They changed the way that all these kids play basketball.
Absolutely.
Like I sent you that clip on Instagram with the kid shooting, just going back and forth, just shooting threes
Just
the
shooting
entire
threes.
time. Like
Yeah.
you were badass if you shot threes when you were in high school.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
you
thing.
you were known for something. Like I think the only school that we remember doing that was like Pagoda. We like Stephen Curry shots from like half
Yeah.
court, and
Yeah.
everybody thought they were crazy. Like we thought the coach
Yeah.
was crazy, but now like you look at him and you're like, oh wow, he wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
But the thing that I notice is like if you look at LeBron James' leadership, it's like teamwork, right? About caring about his people,
Yeah.
people on his team. You look at Stephen Curry, same thing. It's just a different style of leadership and a different style of playing. I'm sure people who follow football, soccer, all those things probably
Oh, I think
see.
it's all
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
It's everywhere. And especially since, with social media, it's such a different playing field, on how athletes and just people in general um relay information.
Mm,
Like if you think about like Facebook came out when we were going into college. Like it was for college kids.
yep.
And look at Facebook now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
It's wild.
Facebook literally started like when we were in college.
Mm-hmm.
We were freshmen
Yeah,
in
we were in
college.
college. Yeah, we were in
Yeah.
college. Yeah.
You know, we were one of the first people to use Facebook. That's so weird thinking about it now. Like you had to use your college login
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah,
get
you
an
had to.
account.
Yeah, I remember you had to use your college email and all that stuff to get
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's wild to think
Mhm.
about compared to it now where it's like, oh, I go on Facebook now to talk to like my aunt.
It's all the older people. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that's
all the
what
old
Instagram
people.
is going to be for us.
Pretty
Like, we're
much.
we're
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna end up on
refuse to use
Instagram.
TikTok, so I get it. I'm on that boat.
So, what do you think are some of the skills? Like, all right, so we could talk about all the great stuff that millennials have,
Yeah.
and like all the great things that we've done. Um, there is a kind of reputation that millennials have from the boomers, more specifically, is that we're entitled and lazy. One is, do you think that's true? And two is, where are the gaps for millennials in their mindset? Where do you think?
So I don't think it's true. I think it goes with everything. Like the same way that the boomers feel like millennials are lazy and entitled is like kind of like how we view. I think it's
Gen
just
Z.
we view Gen Z that like what I mean, like you
Yeah.
want to you just got out of college, you want to be the boss, like
They're so sensitive, right? Like we
yeah,
call
or
them
oh, you're
sensitive.
so
Yeah.
sensitive, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like all that shit. So I think that we all just think we're better than the up and coming thing because
Hmm.
it's that like old line mentality kind of thing. Where it's like, no, 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 I'm still the best. I still got
Hmm.
it kind of thing.
Yeah. So we think it's because we feel threatened.
Yeah, I think it's just human nature. I think it's just human nature to be like, no, 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 this time's the best time. No, you know what I mean? Like your time's cool, but did you have a pager? Did you grow up with fucking 90s hip hop? No,
Yeah.
you got this weird shit that you guys all listen to now that you mumble and do the fucking weird Jersey dance that everybody does. You know? You know what I mean? So, but I
Yeah.
feel like that's like how boomers looked at us, like doing the Harlem Shake and shit like that back in the day, you know?
Yeah. And the crazy
So
part is that these kids are ripping off our style. So like you see all these things
it's
from the 90s
it's
coming back, and I was
the
just like, yo,
same
we
shit, and
that's our
and
stuff.
us in
That's
the
our shit.
90s, and yeah,
Yeah.
and us in the 90s copied the people in the like it all just comes back. Everything's recycled in that sense. Um, but what sets millennials apart from boomers is how we went about work.
Mm.
Um, I think, I think with boomers and like the way that at least I was raised, it was like you stay at a place, you do your job, you get promoted, you make more money, and you just rise up in the ranks and stuff like that. And like you don't move jobs kind of thing. Like I think like
Hmm.
the boomer way was like you stay with one job and that's the one job you stay with. Like you're married to this business somehow,
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's just because back then that was the way to get ahead. But as capitalism and everything just keeps and technology just keeps growing and stuff like that, you can't do that.
No.
It's hard to stay at a job for 10 years
Mm.
and see the kind of advancement that the prior generation saw and stuff like that. And also the cost of living is so insanely different.
Hmm.
Like if I hear one more person like, "Oh, it costs that costs a quarter back in my day," and it's like, yeah, and that's why you have this fucking mindset that you think it's just so fucking easy to go get a job because things cost a fucking quarter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree with that. Um I think there's no real hard line, and I think that's the issue that
no,
most people have, is that they believe that there's this hard line, that this is the way something is supposed to be.
yeah,
And what I've understood is, one is, you're right, the millennials need to be able to adapt more. And I think that's one skill that we do have because of the different crises that we've
you've
been
seen
through.
seen a
We've
lot
seen
of
so
shit.
much shit,
Yeah,
in our lifetime. And
yeah.
it's not shit that directly like impacted us in the sense of
Like you,
like
you
a
didn't get
World War
drafted.
II,
Yeah,
yeah, or
like you
getting
didn't get
drafted or
drafted.
anything like
Yeah,
that. Yeah. It's nothing that threatens our physical well-being necessarily. I mean, that can be questioned as well too,
of
if you
course.
like believe in conspiracy theories and all these things. But I definitely think that we've been impacted psychologically,
Oh yeah,
and because of that, we've had to adapt. So, like you talk about, the world. First of all, World Trade Center, like that was crazy, right? We
yeah.
were kids when that happened, and then 2008 recession, had to adapt. And what
Throw
I've
in a few
understood,
wars.
well, yeah, a couple wars here and
Couple,
there,
you know.
some crazy political scandals, and
Yeah,
yeah,
political
that just
sandals,
was,
huge divide in ideologies in this country and stuff like that, which is always fucking there. Just with the internet and stuff like that, I think it just makes it so much louder than it ever
louder.
was before, kind of thing.
Yeah, and as a
Instead of
millennial,
writing,
yeah,
no,
go
continue.
ahead. I was gonna say, like, as a millennial, you have to be able to adapt, and I think that if you look at most millennials, they are willing to shift their careers. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm one of those examples. I was,
same.
was a teacher, right? I left, I quit, and started entrepreneurship, which is like not known in my family. My family all
Yeah,
comes from this kind of bureaucratic government jobs, which is a very
dude,
Puerto Rican thing to do.
my mom was like, "Just become a mailman," and I was like, "I guess." Like, what's
Why?
the yeah, like
Well, the
you
reason
know,
is because of the certainty that it provides, right? Like,
yes,
especially for the Puerto Ricans, we came from this island, and we're not necessarily, like, we're not illegals, so we
yeah,
have more opportunity than immigrants that come this way, or illegal immigrants that come this way. We have way more opportunity. So, like, if you compare Dominicans to Puerto Ricans, right? We're basically the same people,
yeah.
same ethnicity,
That
right? Same
Spider-Man meme
Indians,
where it's
African,
like
yeah.
pointing at the same.
We're the same people, but the difference between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, I think, is that we have way more support from the American government. So like Puerto Ricans came over to New York City, and the ones that decided to get an education ended up working in the government. So you see a lot of Puerto Ricans in the post office. You see a lot of Puerto Ricans in education system is huge. Sorry, man. Rances hit us up. You see them in the education system. And the thing that it's known is like certainty, this stability that government jobs gave you. It's like it's hard for the government to fail when there's a recession. But I think what happens with millennials now is that because of all the uncertainty, it's like, well, we don't really know and trust the government that well. So how about we just start doing our own thing?
Yeah. Not only the government, the police, anything else. Like,
yeah, exactly. So
there's so many other things. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I think with Gen Z, they kind of grew up in the creator world. They grew up being able to create with the technology.
The internet was always a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was
So they
always readily
learn.
accessible,
Mm-hmm. And now, like, I can only imagine what the world is only gonna. I can't even imagine what the world's gonna look like
I
in
feel
the
like it's
next
gonna be
20
like
years.
Wall-E, like the Disney movie Wall-E with the little robot, and like everybody isn't all fat and in their little carts being shoved around everywhere, being with a TV screen in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, it could either be that. I think it will either be that, or it will be a complete like utopia, right?
I don't think
One of
we'll
the.
ever have a utopia.
I think the possibility of getting close is there, and here's why. I'm gonna tell you why. So AI, for example, AI
It's
is
gonna kill us.
it can either kill us. Yes, absolutely. It has. It's not like it's not even a joke. It can kill us.
Yeah, like I'm
Like
laughing because I'm scared.
yeah, no, it's a real thing. And for anybody who's listening, like if you don't know about AI, like
Look it up,
one is
Google
if
it.
you really want to make money in the next 5 to 10 years, learn AI because
Yeah.
every company is going to adopt AI, and if you don't know
Mhm.
how to use it, you will be left without a job. So that's one. It will become smarter than us. It already is. It is more intelligent than us, and once it's able to like interact with the physical world, forget about it. It's over. So
Yeah.
there is a possibility it can kill us. That is a theory. But the other thing it can do, the other side of that coin, is that it can create something close to a utopia,
Yeah.
meaning all the real big problems that we have in the world now have a possibility of being solved. So, for example, cancer now
Mhm.
has the possibility of being solved because all of the research and ideas that we would have to do, AI can come up with this thing and be like, all
Yeah.
right, do X, Y, Z, and you'll get as close as possible to the cure for cancer. Or energy, right? Zero cost energy. This is a real thing. We're talking about pennies to the dollar for energy, where we're
Mhm.
paying what $4 at the pump.
Yeah.
It's $110 per barrel. So AI has the capacity to solve a lot of health problems and energy problems, which means life gets cheaper for everybody and everybody
Mhm.
gets healthier. But with that, there is the danger, like you said, like it can kill us.
Well, I mean that, but we're also taking aside from the fact that humans are our own worst enemies. So
Well,
you got
yeah.
greed, you got need for power, all that stuff.
Hmm.
So I think it create a utopia in the sense that like, oh, okay, like there's crazy medical advances. You know, there'll be a now I can get tall, like I can get taller with surgery, and it's like minimal. It'll be
But do you
great.
think that people are actually that bad?
Yes.
You think people are that bad?
Look at history.
But is it a large amount of people or is it a small amount of people with a lot of power?
Yeah, I don't mean okay. So like when I say people are bad, I don't mean like, oh my god,
They're evil.
I go
Yeah.
outside like that kid sucks, that kid sucks, kid sucks, that old lady's a bitch. Like no, I don't mean it like that, but I mean
Uh,
it like enough people to make shit really suck or can be bad.
so what I think is that there are there's even if you look at the powerful elite class, right, which everybody demonizes them. I believe that there's a very small percentage of those people who are actually have some type of malintention or negative intentions in their heart.
Yeah, but it's
Right? I
also
don't.
ego too. It's sometimes it's not a matter of
Yeah,
being evil. It's
it's
just a
ego.
matter of I'm not letting. Look, think about it this way: we dropped in World War II. we dropped a nuclear bomb on a country
Yeah.
after the war was pretty much done. And we said, nah, just to make sure that you guys know that we mean business, let's completely rearrange your DNA.
Yeah, but who has that mindset? Who has that
Enough.
mindset? I can't say that, like, for the millennials that I know that have that mindset. You know,
Yeah,
I
but
do believe
we also
that there.
don't know war criminals.
No, we don't know. But that's what I'm saying. There's a very small percentage of those people. And why do they do those things? They do those things because we're fighting over certain resources because there's an inequality. If AI can solve that problem, right? How do you
But then
create a balance between humans?
then they try to control the AI.
They might, but the AI is going to be a superhuman. It's going to be superhuman intelligence. So
Yeah, but
there's no way that they would be able to control AI because you can't manipulate AI. It's too smart. It's too intelligent.
have you ever watched Terminator?
Yes, but Terminator became, the Terminator is actually the pre-story to the Matrix.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I found this out.
We'll talk about this later because I'll be the rest of the podcast if we go down that road.
Wait. No, it's pretty interesting. So the Terminator is all of those characters that you see that got out of the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
That was the war that led to the Matrix, the Terminator.
Oh.
So the AI
Yeah.
that you see in the Terminator, right, shifts to the AI that you see in the Matrix.
Yeah, but like the 18 Terminator movies say different.
Yo, dude, you gotta see. I gotta show you the clips. I had the same reaction to like you had. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, the Terminator is like the story before the Matrix?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
bro.
I think that's a good theory. But at the same time, have you not seen what happens in the Terminator? It's terrifying.
Yeah, but those are all possibilities. I mean, you can also argue the same thing. Like, watch iRobot. iRobot was like a great example of what AI could look
Yeah.
if we use it effectively. And then they got emotions, so they became more like human beings. And then all shit broke loose. So we don't know if they're gonna get emotions.
I'm just saying when it is enough when it comes to progressing the technology or like having AI kind of take over everything until the fact that, it develops feelings and it decides that, you know what? You don't control me. I control you. And but I mean, I'm just talking out my ass, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, so am I. I mean,
Yeah, but
I don't
I'm
know.
just playing devil's advocate, I guess. But let's get back on topic to millennials because I feel like we could just go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Of AI and Terminator being I feel like we should have guys, please comment if you want a podcast completely dedicated to Mo explaining how the Terminator is the prequel to the Matrix, because I'm in. But
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I'm not even
no,
gonna go there.
don't go
But
down
I'm
the
sure
rabbit hole.
Rances does know about it. And for all of you wondering where Rances is, he's not feeling well. That's why he's not on today's episode.
Send kisses to the baby.
Yeah. So if you want, just like go to his Instagram, Rances VidaProject, and then just give him a follow, man.
Yeah, give him a follow.
And he's like 60 more follows to get to 1,000. Like,
yeah,
let's just help him get there. One more thing, don't forget to subscribe and follow us.
Please.
On YouTube, VidaProject, everywhere else, Mindset U.
Back on the topic of millennials. So we were talking about the difference between like the working difference and stuff like that, and how we feel like millennials are like better managers because millennials kind of have that care and stuff like that, that we feel like the boomers are a little bit more cold and everything's a little bit more business. It's not personal, it's business. And I just screwed you out of everything you possibly could have kind of thing. What are some of the downfalls of millennials? Do you think that, like, I know that we think we're awesome and our shit doesn't sink, and we had the greatest music ever created of all time and all that fun stuff, but where do we lack that we feel like the younger generation picks up on?
I think the younger generation works harder than us.
Yeah.
I believe they do. I believe that they are very similar to Gen X in the sense that, and Gen X is the generation after boomers.
Yeah.
So they're like in their 40s, 50s. They are workhorses. They are about making money. They're about revenue. and especially in the entrepreneur section. Hold on one second. In the entrepreneur section for sure, like you see that they will sit down at a computer and hammer out whatever work that needs to get done for hours upon hours. Yeah. I think millennials are a little soft. Some of them
in what
are
sense?
A little soft in the sense that they're not used to discomfort. They're not used to feeling uncomfortable. So yes, we went through like and I struggle with this like gray line that exists between this mindset that we have, where it's like we grew up with a lot of the things that we needed. So we were never really, and I can't speak for the people that live in like, impoverished areas and stuff like that, of course. But I'm speaking for like the middle class millennials where we grew up. I think we never felt like we needed to survive. Like we always felt safe in one way. So with that comfort, we kind of settle into spots and we're like, you know what, we're going to do this a little bit. We'll take a break here, stuff like that. And I remember working with your dad.
Yeah.
Like your dad was like, me and Richmond would go hide in the gym and like sleep for like 2 hours so that we would, but your dad was a workhorse, man.
He's a workhorse. Till this day, he's retired and he's still a workhorse. I'm like, why are you up at 5:30 in the morning, bro? Like, what do you?
Yeah. And your dad pushed us to work. Yeah. And I learned that, like my father pushed me to work. And I think that millennials without that kind of childhood where they didn't have that person to push them became a little soft. And that's where the perception of entitlement comes from.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. That's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that entitlement I think you can say it about every single generation too. Everybody has pros and cons. Nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? So we can have this argument all day long. But I do agree with the fact that I think with millennials that we can't get complacent because it goes back to like, well, the world's shit and everything's fucked. So like, what difference does it make?
What's the fucking point? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I look at it like environmental issues and stuff like that. You see like the younger kids caring a lot more like about the environment and stuff like that compared to like us. You know,
absolutely.
And I think it comes from that the fact that there's been so much there hasn't been a lot of consistency. There's always like a ripple every few years where it's like something wild happens and it's like, oh well, we're fucked. The world's gonna end tomorrow. Like, what does it matter?
Yeah, I think millennials just wait to change when the world changes. It's like, oh shit, another big thing happened. All right, let me prepare for this one. And I think, I mean, I speak for myself because I think one of the things that I struggle with is this fear of loss. So like whenever I want to go up, like change something about myself, there's always this fear of loss. So like, even when it comes to like food, sometimes when I'm like, all right, I have to eat a little bit better. I want to get in shape. I want to get in all these things. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do this. They're like, oh, I'm going to start on Monday. Right. I start on Monday. So then on Saturday and Sunday, you just go ham on everything. Yeah. And I think that's that fear of loss thing. And I think that comes from all of the different situations that we put in is like, well, I worked for this college degree. I got this job. Recession hit. I lost that. I did this, this, and this. I got, I'm supposed to get this position. I didn't get that. Fuck that. I'm just going to wait here, collect my paycheck, move on to the next thing. So I think we kind of wait. And like you said, we're complacent.
Yeah. But I do think that where we might be complacent, I think we also come from that mindset of, oh no, I have to work for this too. Like it's like a weird catch, you know what I mean? Because like I think how like I looked at it like in the news field, because that's where I've been at the longest, where I saw multiple, like the new kids come every year from college and stuff like that. And like I feel like the older kids came from the generation of I got to work for it and I'm going to have to eat shit. I'm going to have to do the stupid job that nobody wants to do because that's what the new guy has to do, kind of thing. Compared to like the younger generations that they come in and you're like, I don't want to do that. Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to go run the copies? Why do I have to go get coffee? I didn't get a college degree to go get somebody coffee. And it's like, buddy, I don't fucking know. That's what they made me do. That's what you got to do now. What do you want me to, don't get the coffee then. Then when they'll go, where's the coffee? I go, this one thought that his college degree means that he doesn't have to get coffee. Ask him. I don't fucking care. Like, so that's where like the millennial me comes up. Like, I don't do whatever. You don't want to fucking do it. Don't do it. Whatever kind of thing. But I think, it keeps going back to like entitlement thing of we think the next one's entitled, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But I think with them, they highly think that like, oh, well, I did this, and that. Why do I have to do this? And it's like, because you're the new guy. And I get paid $40,000 a year. I don't care what you do. Like, I don't care.
I mean, I definitely align with that. I think we all go through it. And I think the difference is that when you're already in a position of experience, it's easy to say to somebody or like a kid, like, like I did it, so therefore you have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that gray area exists. Is like maybe this kid knows more shit than I do. And the only reason that and the only reason that we tell them like, no, you don't have you have to get the coffee, like you shouldn't be doing more important things. It's because there's a fear of loss. Like, and I think that goes back to that whole thing with millennials is we're always fearing that something is going to happen and we're going to lose all our shit. And that's just the reality.
So true.
Yeah, we're always going to lose our shit. We're either going to lose our mental health, we're going to lose our money, we're going to lose our property. And that's just the reality of most millennials. And I think that's a very difficult mental obstacle to get over.
So are millennials the most afraid of death then? Are we the ones that are
I don't think we're afraid of death. I think we'd rather die.
Now you're speaking my language.
I think death is a little bit more peaceful.
But finally somebody's speaking my language.
Sometimes I think about it, and it's not to say like it's these ideas of suicide.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it's more like, damn man, like, do I really want to worry? Like, do I really want to continue worrying? And that is a big thing that exists within millennials. This, like, hear every millennial say, like, I'm an anxious person. I have anxiety, right?
Yeah. Like
we all got it. So we just to recap, we spoke about how AI may kill us.
Yeah.
We spoke how we rather die and it's actually more peaceful. We spoke, So I mean, it makes sense why we deal with anxiety so much is because we're always ready for the next big thing. And
I think we're always on alert. We're always like, what's next? What's next? What's happening next? Kind of thing. And I guess the best advice that we can give is do whatever, live your life. Go for it. Go for it, buddy. Go for it, because we might die tomorrow. So you might as well just fucking do it. We were talking about not even doing this podcast at first, but you said, you know what, we're here.
Let's just fucking do it. Yeah.
Let's just fucking do it. Let's get this out the way. It's not easy to talk. I don't like the more I do this, the more like, wow, talking for 40 minutes and 30 seconds right now. It's not fucking easy.
It's not.
It's not. It's hard. I look at podcasts now and like ones that I enjoy. I'm like, you guys are good.
Yeah, man. And I think about like coaches and therapists. I know like if I coach an entire day and I have like back-to-back clients, I'm mentally exhausted.
Mentally exhausted. Right?
Yeah. I have a client after this, virtual client coaching one-on-one. And I know
so like real
mentally,
quick, so like what does that kind of entail? Like when it's like virtual coaching and stuff like that? Like it doesn't have to be this specific person.
Yeah. So most of our clients, and I think I could speak for Rances as well, it has to do a lot with relationships.
Okay.
So it looks like, I mean, we do all types of coaching. So we do training, and that probably is our problem with VidaProject is that we like do everything. We're like good at everything. We never focus on one thing. But I can say that what we're really good at is helping people connect. And that is done through the meaningful relationships in one's life. So a lot of our demographics are millennials who are either trying to connect intimately or trying to connect with their children or trying to connect at work or trying to move up the ladder. And that's all about relationship building. So a lot of our work is diving into the mindset of how they perceive themselves in relationships and then finding the root problem on what's preventing them from connecting with other people and taking ownership in that problem. Once they take ownership, then we give actionable steps and they begin to solve their relationship issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I work with you guys, and sometimes I'm like, I know it's different for every person and stuff like that. So I'm never really sure. I'm like, so like, so coaching for one person isn't always the same as the other. And I know like with all the training stuff that you guys do, that's interesting though, because I know that's even a dynamic that I didn't really know that you guys really tackle.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's hard for people to see the connection between physiology and like relationships. Like,
Yeah.
how does training or physical movement help you with your relationships? And the
Hmm.
basic premise is this: is that your emotion are sets of physiological stimuli. And what that actually means is that when you feel something, when you feel triggered, when you feel upset, when you feel sad, when you feel depressed, there are physical sensations in the body. When you start to understand those physical sensations, you understand how you're perceiving whatever is happening to you that you think is making you, and it's not think like I'm saying to dismiss it, but
Yeah.
whatever you perceive is making you feel depressed, sad, angry, happy, whatever the case is.
Got it.
The best way to train that physiological stimuli is through working out. This is why there's such a big emphasis on meditation. Meditation is really just sitting down and analyzing your body
Yeah.
and
When
sensing
you
all the
guys
physical
first,
shit.
yeah, like when you guys first like we're gonna meditate. And I'm like, fuck. And now it's like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna meditate. This
Yeah.
is fucking sweet. Like I do it in the morning now.
Yeah.
I
You
meditate in the
see, like,
shower.
yeah, you see a lot of athletes, right? They take this like deep breath before they take, a free throw shot or something.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're decreasing their heart variability. They're creating more coherence in their heart variability, which is their emotional state, to be able to perform better.
Mm.
So what happens is if you start to understand those things within your body, if you're in an argument, right, or an intense moment with your partner, and you can understand your emotions, physically what you are experiencing, you know how to communicate better. If you're in a presentation and you understand your physical sensations that's happening right before giving a presentation, then you can perform and communicate better. And that's what we train people to do. And there's different ways to do it. Working out is one of
Yeah.
those ways. It's just one. We have hundreds of different ways
There's so
to
many
help
different
people
ways.
understand
Yeah.
these things. Yeah. So I don't know if that creates
Awesome.
clarity. Yeah.
No, I think it did, at least for me. And I know you guys. So that
Well,
was nice. Thank you for that.
at least the guy that produces our podcast knows what we do now.
No,
Hey, Rances,
yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
It's just
we
not
just
just
we
talk
just
a
got to
lot of
step
shit and I go,
closer.
uh-huh. And then
Uh-huh.
that's cool. When we gonna talk about boxing? And
Yeah.
then you know.
Oh, man.
But no,
All right,
so you
man.
know what? I take that back. I don't think this was a stupid podcast. I think it was silly, but it was needed. And I think we got our points. I guess a point. We got some good points across and a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
discussion. And I still
I think
think your views on utopia are fucking insane, but that's fine. I'm also super
man,
pessimistic, and I think that the fucking
that's
Terminator is
okay
gonna be a
too.
real thing.
I
So
I
like,
understand where you come from.
yeah,
I
you know,
understand your perspective too. I like to be
yeah,
as much as I hate to say this, I agree with Rances's perspective and approach to life. It's a very stoic approach, and I think that perception of like there is no good or bad. There's
yeah,
just something that's going to happen, and you're
yeah,
either going to be prepared for it or you're not.
not,
And that's
yeah,
really
that's
what it
fair.
is.
That's yeah,
There's going to be bad shit and good shit that happens,
yeah,
and you're either going to be prepared for it or you're not. And that's really it.
very
That's
true.
really like how he sees life. and I've tried to adopt that as much as possible. And I
It's
think
hard
that's what's
sometimes, right?
been,
Isn't it? I think it's a good mindset to have, but I think with anything, it's hard to have like a one steadfast view outlook on life sometimes because we're
I
always
think that's
our
what makes
emotions
him
get the
such.
better.
Yeah, I think that's what makes him such a great coach.
I think so
Um,
too.
I think that's what makes him such
He's
a good
so good
coach.
at seeing stuff objectively, other
Yeah.
people's stuff objectively, because like you know how we're all set in our ways, so like that's a whole different topic.
Mhm, mhm.
But
Yeah,
I think he's so good at being objective with other people's stuff that's what makes him a good coach. You
absolutely.
know?
Yeah. And that also bites him in the ass sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes it can bite him in the ass and vice versa. Like, you know, it works for him and it works against him. And the great things that work for you work against you too.
exactly.
So it's really like, what is it that you want your life to be?
Yeah,
And Rances sees himself as a coach, and so it fucking works. And
yeah.
so I've adopted that mindset the best that I could, and I can say that it's changed my life
Look at
for sure.
that. It's changed our lives. I like this.
Yeah,
You see?
Rances. That's the only
Look at that.
compliment you're getting for
Yeah.
the fucking
And
year,
it's
Rances.
because he's not around and because we miss him a little bit. That's the only reason why we're saying this shit.
All right.
All right,
You
guys?
wanna recap it, tell them where to find us and all that
Yes.
good stuff?
So, recap millennials. We're triggered by constant change and we're scared of losing our shit. So, we tend to be a little hesitant on things. Um, but we're learning. We're learning. We're starting to switch shit up and starting to do things that we weren't conditioned to do anymore. um, I think my recaps are awesome, by the way.
I think they are too. Keep going.
Also, Terminator might be real. It might also be the prequel to the Matrix. Who knows? Moses does. That's gonna be another podcast. That's gonna be a sub podcast. And then lastly, our music's the best. We
That's a
just
fact.
we
Yeah,
just did
that's a
every
fact.
we our style is the reason why y'all do anything that you do. I don't care what
Mhm.
any of y'all say. That's it. Um, all jokes aside, though, you can find us everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, VidaProject.com for all the stuff. You can learn about the coaching stuff. Have these guys be your coach. Make sure that you pay them so that they pay me, so that this can keep being a thing. I love you guys. Let's make this shit grow. Oh, Mo, do you want to talk about the basketball camp at all? Do you want to bring that up, or
Yeah, I
I can cut it
mean,
out if anything?
oh, okay. Yeah. So basketball, we got 2 camps. Champion Mindset, that's for high school kids, middle school and high school kids. Talking about that physiology stuff.
Yeah,
So it's specifically done through training and for basketball athletes. And then one's the same stuff, but for the little ones, 2nd grade to 6th grade, elite mindset camp. You can go to citysportsonford.com and you'll find all the information there.
awesome. All right, thank you so much, guys. Papa, I fucking love you. I'll
Love
see you
too,
next
bro.
week.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
later.
Peace.